The history of the writing pen is deeply intertwined with the evolution of human communication and civilization itself. From the earliest markings on cave walls to today's precision-engineered pens used for art, writing, and technology, the story of the pen spans thousands of years. It begins not with ink or metal, but with early human expressions on natural surfaces, using whatever materials were at hand. Over time, necessity and ingenuity drove the development of more efficient, permanent, and portable writing tools, culminating in the wide variety of pens we use today, from quills and fountain pens to ballpoint pens and styluses. The invention of the pen isn't attributed to a single person or event, but rather to a series of innovations across cultures and centuries, each building upon the last to create a tool that has shaped the very course of history. The earliest humans did not write in the way we know it today, but they communicated through symbols, paintings, and carvings. The first writing instruments were likely rudimentary tools like sticks, bones, or fingers dipped in natural pigments. Prehistoric cave paintings found in places like Lascaux in France or Altamira in Spain were created over 20,000 years ago, using mineral-based pigments and crude brushes or direct finger application. These primitive tools served more as painting devices than pens, but they represent the earliest known forms of graphic communication. As civilizations formed and languages developed, the need for structured, repeatable writing tools became evident. Around 3000 BCE, ancient Sumerians in Mesopotamia developed one of the earliest known writing systems, cuneiform. This writing involved pressing a stylus made of reed into soft clay tablets to form wedge-shaped marks. These styluses were technically pens in that they served the purpose of recording written language, though they did not involve ink or fluid writing. The Sumerians' invention of written language using a stylus laid the groundwork for future tools. Shortly thereafter, the Egyptians developed hieroglyphic writing around 2600 BCE, using brushes and reed pens dipped in ink made from soot or other natural dyes. Papyrus became their primary writing medium, offering a more versatile and transportable alternative to clay tablets. The evolution of ink and more refined writing surfaces allowed for the gradual development of true pens. By 500 BCE, in ancient India and China, early forms of ink pens were used with bamboo or metal styluses and ink derived from plant-based and mineral sources. In China, the brush was preferred, but there is evidence of bamboo pens being used on silt and early paper forms. As materials and techniques improved, the concept of ink-based writing gained popularity, spreading throughout Asia and into the Islamic world and Europe. Around 700 CE, Islamic calligraphers began using reed pens called kalam for writing on parchment and paper. These pens could be trimmed to a point and dipped in ink, marking an important transition toward what we would now recognize as a writing pen. One of the most significant developments in pen technology came during the Middle Ages in Europe with the widespread use of the quill pen. Quills were made from the feathers of birds, often geese or swans, carefully cut and shaped into nibs. Quills became the dominant writing instrument in the Western world for over 1,000 years. From the 6th century through the 19th century, they were widely used by scribes, clerics, and scholars to write on parchment and vellum. Quills could produce elegant script and were highly prized in religious and academic circles. However, they had limitations. They needed constant sharpening, frequent redipping in ink, and wore down quickly. Despite their drawbacks, quills were effective enough to help transcribe everything from religious texts to scientific treatises, music, and early literature. As literacy grew and commerce expanded across Europe in the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods, there was increased demand for more practical and durable writing tools. This led to the metal nib pen, which started appearing in the 18th century. These pens had metal tips that mimicked the function of a quill, but were more durable and could last longer between sharpening. By the early 19th century, mass production of steel nibs became common in Britain, particularly in Birmingham, which became a hub of pen manufacturing. Brands like Gillett and Perry & Co. emerged as major players, producing millions of nibs for global distribution. These pens still required an external inkwell, which limited their convenience, but represented a major step toward modern pens. The next milestone came with the invention of the fountain pen, which addressed the inconvenience of dipping pens into ink repeatedly. The earliest recorded patents for fountain pens date back to the 17th century, including one granted to German inventor Daniel Schwenter in 1636, who described a pen made of two quills, one holding ink inside the other. However, these early designs were unreliable and prone to leakage. It wasn't until the 19th century that real breakthroughs occurred. In 1827, Romanian inventor Petre Ponaru patented a fountain pen that used a replaceable ink reservoir. Later, inventors like Lewis Waterman in the United States improved upon the design. Waterman's 1884 patent introduced a system that regulated ink flow using capillary action and air pressure, making the fountain pen far more dependable. Waterman's fountain pens revolutionized writing by offering a self-contained ink source, elegant nibs, and sleek designs. Soon, fountain pens became status symbols and everyday tools for writers, businessmen, and students alike. Many notable pen companies arose during this time, Parker, Schieffer and Montblanc, among others, each competing to produce more reliable and stylish pens. These pens were often refillable, using eyedroppers, levers, or piston mechanisms to load ink. For many years, the fountain pen reigned supreme, combining functionality and aesthetic appeal. Yet even the fountain pen had its drawbacks. It still required maintenance, refilling, and care to avoid leaks or clogs. The desire for an even more convenient, maintenance-free writing tool led to the invention of the ballpoint pen in the 20th century. The concept of the ballpoint pen had been around for a while. Patents were filed as early as the 1880s, but most early attempts failed due to ink that was too thick or inconsistent flow. The true commercial breakthrough came with Hungarian journalist and inventor Laszlo Biro. Frustrated by the smudging and slow-drying ink of fountain pens, Biro, along with his brother György, developed a pen with a tiny ball bearing at the tip that rotated as the pen moved, drawing ink from a pressurized cartridge. In 1938, Biro patented his ballpoint pen design in Paris. During World War II, the British Royal Air Force adopted the Biro pen because it functioned well at high altitudes, unlike fountain pens. After the war, ballpoint pens quickly gained popularity in civilian markets. In the 1940s and 1950s, companies like Reynolds in the US and BIC in France began mass-producing affordable, disposable ballpoint pens. Bic's model, introduced in 1950 as the BIC Crystal, was a breakthrough in simplicity, reliability, and cost. It became the most popular pen in the world, and billions have been sold since. The ballpoint pen's low maintenance, no leak design, and instant usability made it the dominant writing instrument of the modern age. As technology progressed, new types of pens emerged. The rollerball pen, introduced in the 1960s and 70s, used water-based ink that flowed more smoothly than the oil-based ink of ballpoint pens. It provided a writing experience similar to a fountain pen, but with the convenience of a ballpoint. Then came the gel pen, popularized in the 1980s by Japanese companies like Pilot and Sakura. Gel pens used pigment-based ink in water-based gel, allowing for vivid colors and smooth lines, especially on dark or glossy paper. Artists, designers, and students quickly embraced gel pens for their precision and visual appeal. Meanwhile, luxury and collectible pens saw a resurgence in popularity. Companies like Montblanc, Cross, and Lamy began to position high-end pens as fashion statements or executive accessories. Custom-designed fountain pens with precious metals and intricate craftsmanship found a niche market among writers and collectors. For many, writing with a quality pen became a symbol of elegance and thoughtfulness, even in the age of digital communication. With the arrival of computers, smartphones, and tablets, many wondered whether the pen would become obsolete. Instead, pens adapted to new technologies. The stylus, a modern cousin of the pen, emerged to interface with digital screens. Early styluses were simple plastic rods, but newer models like the Apple Pencil or Samsung's S Pen include pressure sensitivity, tilt detection, and Bluetooth functionality, blurring the line between traditional writing and digital creativity. These tools are essential for artists, designers, and note-takers in the digital age. Despite these technological advancements, the traditional pen remains irreplaceable for many tasks. Pens are used to sign legal documents, jot down ideas, sketch designs, keep journals, and more. There is an intimacy to handwriting that no keyboard can replicate. Studies have shown that writing by hand can improve memory, creativity, and cognitive function. Whether it's a student taking notes, a poet drafting verses, or an executive signing a deal, the act of putting pen to paper remains a powerful gesture of intent and identity. Throughout its long and rich history, the pen has been a symbol of knowledge, power, expression, and connection. From clay tablets to calligraphy, from quills to fountain pens, and from ballpoints to digital styluses, the pen's journey mirrors the evolution of human civilization itself. It is a tool that has transcended cultures, eras, and technologies, bridging the past with the future and thought with expression. As long as humans have stories to tell, ideas to record, and signatures to sign, the pen, in one form or another, will endure.